Good evening. I'm Christopher Michael. We have many hometown heroes in Morton Grove, and many of them you see every day. Our program this time looks at heroes that we see very seldom. They're heroes behind the scenes. What they do is in their job as well as in their home. We're joined by Taryn Kendrick. She's the Executive Director of the Niles Township District for Special Education. And Cary Izzi. He is the parent of a child who is enrolled in the special district education programs. We'd like to welcome you both to the program. And let's start with you, Taryn. First off, it's known as the NTDSE, but what in the world is that?
NTDSE stands for Niles Township District for Special Education. It is a cooperative. It is an educational cooperative, and what that means is that it is its own district, but it's made up of the 9 elementary districts within Niles Township. That's Skokie, Lincolnwood, Morton Grove, and Niles. And we service students with disabilities. We have our own programs, as well as we support the local school districts in programming for their students with disabilities. We've been in existence within Morton Grove for over 55 years, and that's who we are.
Well, the history is rather replete with a lot of stories that have to do with how well students have done. What is the background of founding it in the first place?
The background for finding it is it started with Julia Malloy, and that was back in 1950, and she noticed a need in the community for students, and it started as a one schoolhouse building. Within a year it grew to 44 students, and on the site where the Malloy Education Center is today, that was funded with all public dollars, and it was the first school for students with disabilities in the state of Illinois.
Now, why is this an educational cooperative?
An educational cooperative is made up of, it's basically the 9 districts coming together to service students with low incidence disabilities. And what I mean by that is when you say low incidence, it's a disability that is rarely seen. So students that have cognitive disabilities, students that might be visually impaired or have a severe autism or a severe emotional disability or a physical disability, those students, fortunately, are you don't see commonly. So it's the 9 districts banding together to provide high-quality services to those students. And if they had to do it by themselves, it would not be, they wouldn't have the high quality, or it wouldn't be as cost efficient. We also support the districts for their students with high incidence disabilities, and by that I mean students that have learning disabilities or attention deficit disorder, communication disorders. We might provide support programming such as technology supports, assistive technology, or even behavioral supports.
And there are some profoundly disabled children who are enrolled in these schools.
Correct. We have students that attend the Malloy Education Center. About half of the students that are enrolled in Niles Township District for Special Education attend the Malloy Education Center. The other half of the students we have enrolled in our public schools within Niles Township. We rent classroom space in 11 different districts, and some of the students are able to stay within their home districts. However, some of the students are within different districts. That's how we share the services. That's what makes us unique as a cooperative.
In talking about the cooperative, you mentioned the 9 districts. What 9 districts are they?
It's District 67, District 68, District 69, District 70, District 71, District 72, District 73, 73 and a half, and 74.
Now, are all of these schools that are part of this cooperative, do they all have classrooms in their buildings?
They don't all have classrooms in their buildings. Most do. There are some space constraints in other buildings, but if that's the case, then a different district who doesn't have those same constraints might pick up those classrooms. All do support the cooperative in different ways. So,
now, one of the things that I think affects all sorts of government arms, and certainly a special education district would not be immune to that, is the economy. How has the economy affected the special education district?
We are no different. In fact, we've been in the news a lot lately for financial difficulties, as everyone in the country is experiencing. And we currently have 3 districts that have put in letters to withdraw from the co-op. Those 3 districts, one is Skokie, District 73, one is Niles, District 71, and Morton Grove, Golf District 67. Those districts have all put in their intent to withdraw because of financial reasons. However, despite the financial challenges, we still are obligated to provide quality services to students with disabilities. And these kids deserve this high quality education, and being a part of a cooperative, you're able to do that in a more economic fashion. So we're working with those districts currently to try to ease that financial burden and really try to be sure that the students all have the same opportunities.
Now, one can understand certainly wanting to save money, but to withdraw from that district, what happens to the students who live in those districts?
The districts that have intent to withdraw still have to provide the quality of education to their students. All students are entitled to what the state considers a free, appropriate public education. It's actually a federal law, and they are required to provide those services. So they will have to do that to the best of their ability. Because they pull out of the cooperative, it doesn't mean the services go away. They still need to do that.
Okay, so we mentioned the services a lot, but we haven't mentioned what those services are. So what is included in the education that you're providing?
Generally, most of our students they all have individualized education plans. So what we do is it's specialized instruction. If you're in a general education classroom, you have a curriculum that services most of your students. We don't have that luxury with students with disabilities. We really have to tap into a variety of different resources and a variety of different therapies to meet these students' needs. For instance, we have occupational therapy, physical therapy, vision support. We have interventionists that support with behavior, help with students with autism. So we have a variety of specialists that come together to really wrap the child's education to be sure that we have met all of their needs. And a lot of our students have very unique needs.
And those unique needs almost sometimes are as much semi-medical as they are educational.
We have many students that are with us for medical reasons, and that is a large part of what we do. We have nurses on staff. We have actually 2 nurses that are in one of our centers. All of our schools have access to nursing staff as well because our students do have some medical needs.
Now, Cary Izzi has been sitting quietly listening to this, but when it comes to talking about the students and the services that are available, you certainly would have first-hand knowledge of that. Tell us a little about your child who's enrolled here.
My son Nick is currently 9, and he's been in the NTDSE since he was 3. He was diagnosed with autism probably around 2.5. And after 3 years old, or maybe even a little longer, he became part of the NTDSE. And from that moment on, I can't tell you how great a job this district does, this cooperative does, to providing Nicholas the best care possible.
What kinds of things do they do for him?
Well, it combines not only what you would work on at home, but in school. Being autistic, and this is just Nick's personality, his schoolwork is going to be somewhat limited, but he still is able to do some, so they work not only on schoolwork, but I'll give you a great example. When Nick got to school, he wasn't potty trained, he wasn't toilet trained, and we worked and worked hard. Well, we came across a teacher, Miss Perry, who within 3 weeks got him toilet trained. And that's just the skill of these teachers and administrators in this district, how great they are.
And that's something that I think is quite often ignored, because these teachers work very, very hard to personalize the treatment and education and really, in a lot of cases, the basic needs that these children need.
It's amazing what they do. To just picture what a day would be like to be with a room full of children, that each one of them is so different in not only their special needs, but different in what they have to do and how they're taught. And you have a group of teachers trying to get this done. It's amazing they get through the day. It really is.
In just a moment, we'll come back and continue our conversation with Cary Izzi and also with Taryn Kendrick from the Niles Township District for Special Education. Welcome back. We are joined by Taryn Kendrick, who is the Executive Director of the Niles Township District for Special Education, and Cary Izzi, who is the parent of a student who is enrolled in this district. Cary, when we left, we were talking about how the school has supported your child. What other kind of services do they provide that you might not find, certainly you wouldn't find if they were in a regular elementary school?
Let's go through the gamut here. First of all, it's a full day of school. This is not a half half day of school at all. Nick's in school from 8 in the morning till 3 o'clock in the afternoon, just like a normal child. So that's a full day of work for these teachers who dedicate themselves to this. You can only imagine how difficult that is to put an 8-hour day in with difficult students. It's very difficult what they do. They also have what's nice is called extended school year that the NTDSE provides. And what that means is you want to keep these kids in a rhythm of going to school. So Nick gets to go to school not only throughout the regular school year, but he goes to school through the summer as well, paid for by the district and taken care of. So he's also in school during the summer, so he doesn't fall out of the routine of going to school. When he's in school, there's behavior therapists that work just with his behavior. There's occupational therapy. Nick has trouble with his hands, so there's people that work with his hands and work with getting his dexterity and working to make sure that his motor skills and motor functions come as close to normal as possible. He also goes through speech therapy. Nick's speech is very limited, so he gets many, many hours a week paid for by the district and the great teachers there of working just on his sounds and his vowels and how he talks so he could communicate with us because he has a very limited vocabulary. But from when he started to what he talks to now, it's amazing that he could tell you exactly what he needs and at what time. It just makes you cry every time you hear him. And last, they work with the social interaction. They work socially to get these kids in this room. Nick's been with the same 6 little boys for about 6 years now. And you think they don't know each other? They're a pretty good team. They know each other pretty well. Even though all of them can't communicate, I think they just socially work with getting the kids to play together. It's fantastic. Other things they do, and Taryn might laugh at this Friday I'm going to be able to go out at night because the district's having Parents' Night Out. This is how much work and dedication these teachers and administrators have. What they do is they provide daycare, or night care actually, babysitting for Nick and his sibling, his sister Molly. So I'm going to drop them off at Malloy at about 6 o'clock. I'm going to go grab a nice dinner at a local Morton Grove eatery here, and then I'm going to come back at 9 and pick them up. And their teachers and staff are going to watch these kids. Now, I can't think of anything more special than that. They work a full day that Friday and then come back at night to do this. You can't say enough for how dedicated this group is.
This really goes to providing service not only to the child but to the families. What kind of services outside of this wonderful Parents' Night Out do you provide to the families?
We think it's very important to wrap services around families. We provide parent support groups. We also provide trainings to parents. Mr. Izzi mentioned before about toilet training. We have professionals come in the evening to talk to parents about potty training, to talk to parents about how to support them with communication in the home, behavioral supports. We provide CPR training to parents. We bring in experts to talk about long-term planning for their child. What do I do when my child's an adult, and how do I start planning for that now, because it's here before you know it. And what we do when we provide these is we also provide daycare to families so that they're able to participate. So if they want to come to a nighttime function, we have staff available to watch their children. And as Mr. Izzi did mention, things like the parent nights out. You know, we do that twice a year because a lot of times that's the only time our families do get to go out, because they need to be sure that somebody who is able to watch their child, who's qualified to watch their child, can, and then they can go out and relax and have a nice evening to themselves.
Now, this is a very difficult thing you mentioned, having the right people there with your child when you have a child in this situation. That also must mean that it's very difficult for you to find the right people in order to be employed and help the children in the district.
It's true. We need to be sure that our staff are highly qualified. We actively recruit. When we actively recruit staff, that's what we're looking for. You obviously look for a special type of person who has compassion and is willing to work with students with disabilities, but they have to be committed to high quality education because that's what our students deserve.
Special people, and you also, I understand, in Malloy have special facilities that you wouldn't find in any other school.
We do. Malloy is a unique facility. It is It looks a lot different than a general education school. It is actually shaped, it's a circle. We have what we call pods, so every classroom has an exit to the outside, which every classroom, I should say, but two. And that's important because we have many students in our facility that are not mobile. So they're in wheelchairs, they might be in different types of devices. We have standing equipment, so we have a lot of different equipment that's within the center that provides support to students. We have a therapy pool. We also have a sensory room, and we have a mobility room. So there's just some unique things. We have a gym, we have a multi-purpose room, which you see in other schools, but when you walk in those rooms, you might see a swing hanging from the ceiling. So our facility definitely has some unique features that you don't find in a general education school.
You work with the children, you work with the parents. How do you work with the community?
That is one of the most important pieces as well, because it's important for our families to have the ongoing support. Their kids are with us 6-7 hours a day, so it's important for us to work with the community and to really work collaboratively to assist parents at how to access things within their community. Morton Grove, as well as many other park districts within this township have, the 4 other park districts within this township have quality programs. We need to be sure we're working with those professionals. We assist in training those professionals on how to work with students with disabilities. We have good relationships with Maine Niles Association for Special Recreation. They provide high quality services to students as well. We work with the library. The companies that transport our students, we also work with them to know how to, when they're transporting students on a daily basis, how to react to students that have disabilities, special techniques. So we provide a lot of training. We provide disability awareness training to not only our general education schools, but also organizations within the township. We've worked with the libraries. It's just very important to have a community presence, and so that everybody is comfortable with our students, with our families, and we're all working toward the same goal as helping students with disabilities.
As we're coming to the end of our time, any final thoughts on the special education district?
Nothing is more important to me than my son, my family. And if I thought that he wasn't getting the best education possible, I would do anything and move anywhere to provide that for him. I feel that he gets the best service here. The teachers that my son's had throughout this process are the best. Believe me when I tell you that. They are family to me. I stay in contact with every one of them, and they're family because they took care of my family.
And Taryn?
I think that I see Molloy, it's been in existence for 55 years. I see NTDSE as a vital part of the community, as not just Morton Grove, but Lincolnwood, Niles, and Skokie as well. And we will remain that. We might change as we face some economic hardships. We might change a little bit, but we'll remain a vital part of the community, living our mission, which is to support and provide high-quality services to students with disabilities. And that's what we need to remember, that it's about the kids and they're what's most important, and that's what we will continue to live every day.
We have been joined by Taryn Kendrick, who is the Executive Director of the Niles Township District for Special Education, and also by Cary Izzi, who is the parent of a child who is enrolled in the Special Education District. They've been telling us about the services that are offered by this wonderful organization that has been around for quite some time, and you mentioned that Molloy is going to continue to be a part of the community. Even despite the economic trouble, things are going to stick around.
I absolutely think so. It is embraced by this community, and although we are going through some struggles, as are many of our districts, we will continue to proceed and progress, and we will remain a vital part of the community.
We'd like to thank you too for taking the time to join us. I'm Christopher Michael. Good night.